You're unmuted, so I'm not sure why I can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you. This appears to be an acknowledgement of paternity case filed in regards to the child Alzerion. My understanding is that Miss Whittington and Mr. Martin, you're both asking me for DNA testing in this case?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking for DNA testing, Miss Whittington?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a good faith belief, Miss Whittington, that Mr. Martin may not be the father of this child?
No, sir.
You think he is the father?
I know for sure he is the father.
All right. But you don't have any objection to a DNA test, Miss Whittington?
No, sir, not at all.
All right. And Mr. Martin, you're asking for a DNA test?
I mean, I know it's mine. I was just going off of, you know, she wanted me to go through with the process. So
I don't understand what you mean by go through with the process.
Like, I know that it's my son, but she was saying that she got in touch with y'all so that
she didn't get in touch with me, sir. I'm a judge. Nobody gets in touch with me.
The child support people.
Okay, that's not me. I don't work for them. I'm not affiliated with them.
Okay.
So tell me about this process you're talking about. What process? You signed a legal document that says you're the dad. Why should I give you a DNA test?
Yeah, I'm not asking for one anymore, sir.
Okay. Let's get started. We're under oath. Miss Alexander, you ready to go?
Sure.
All right. So do you have any other witnesses besides Miss Whittington and Mr. Martin?
Yes, Your Honor, Miss Boudreaux.
Miss Boudreaux, please unmute. All right. Your case has been called, Miss Alexander. You may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state will call Miss Whittington. She's actually 1 year old today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you signed an acknowledgement of paternity as to Alzerian, and Dad signed the acknowledgement of paternity. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, the state would enter the state's exhibit the acknowledgement of paternity in this case.
Ma'am.
Miss Whittington, I've just placed on the screen a copy of the alleged acknowledgement of paternity for Alzerion. Is it okay if I look at this acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Martin, the same question. Is it okay if I look at Alzerion's acknowledgement?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit A is admitted and evident.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Whittington, do you have any safety concerns as it relates to Mr. Martin?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any, does Mr. Martin know where you live?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you have any concerns if your address is put into the court record?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Martin ever reside together?
No, ma'am.
So you've never lived together at all since the baby was born?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And where does Alzerian primarily, who does Alzerian primarily live with?
Me.
He lives with you. And who makes the day-to-day decisions for Alzerian?
I do.
Okay. And who makes the major decisions for Alzerian?
I do.
Okay. What decisions, if any, does Dad help you with? Excuse me.
I call him and ask him certain things, and he'll give his opinion on what I should do.
And who takes Alzerian to the doctor's visits?
I do.
Does Dad help with those?
He works mornings, so no, ma'am. He doesn't have the time to take him.
Okay. What kind of visits does Dad have with Alzerian?
He basically comes whenever he can to see him.
Okay. And how often does he visit with Dad, with the child?
Maybe 3 times a week.
Okay. Does Dad visit with Alzerian with you around or with you not around?
With me not around.
Okay. Does Dad have any overnights with Alzerian?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you have no concerns if dad was to have visits with Alzerian for a whole weekend, say?
No, ma'am.
What kind of health insurance is Alzerian on?
United Healthcare,
And who's that through?
the Medicaid office.
Okay, thank you. Do you happen to know if dad has any other children other than Alzerian?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how many other children he has, his biological children?
2.
2 other biological children that you know of?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are they under the age of 18 to your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Has dad provided any kind of support for Alzerian since he was born?
Ma'am.
Has dad provided any support for Alzerian since he was born last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you asking for back child support or just current child support moving forward?
Just current child support moving forward. I don't want any back child support.
Thank you. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
The state would call Mr. Martin. Okay. And what decisions do you help with mom as it relates to Alzerian?
Basically, whatever.
They're going to be JMC, Miss Alexander.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Lost my train of thought there. Where does Alzerian primarily live? Who does Alzerian primarily live with?
With his mother, Irene.
Thank you. And what type of visits do you have with Alzerian?
Like she said, like 3 times a week. Sometime I can get them for the weekend, or if I'm off.
Okay. And where do you work, Mr. Martin?
I work at AZZ Galvanizing.
Okay. And how long you been there?
For about 2 years.
Okay. And how much do you make an hour?
I make $19.52.
And how many hours do you work a week?
I work 6 12s or 5 12s.
So is that a week?
Yes, ma'am.
So is it anywhere from 48 hours to 60 hours a week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that kind of alternate weekly or something?
It's I guess it's based off of production. Like sometimes it be slow. I might have a 30-hour week. I mean, it's a project thing.
Okay. And in the last several months, how many hours have you been working a week?
Anywhere from like 30 to 50.
And what are your hours that you work?
Sometimes we work 12s, 8s, or 6. Like it's not like a real set schedule. Like we might have a good week this week, and then next week, it's 8-hour shifts or something. That's why I say anywhere between 30 and 50 hours within these last few months, because it's just starting to get a little more busy,
Okay. And when you do more than 40 hours a week, do you get paid overtime for that?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how many other children do you have other than Alzerian?
I have 4 that I'm raising right now from my previous children's mother.
And those other 4 children, are they your biological children?
Yeah, they 2 of them are, but I'm supposed to have like DNA for the other ones. But I'm on child support for all of them.
You're court ordered to pay child support for all 4 children?
Yeah, that been. I was married to they mother.
Oh, okay.
And it's a long, it's
okay.
Some other
And are
stuff.
those 4 other children, are they all under the age of 18?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Martin, you tell me that you have one child with Miss Whittington. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have 4 other children that you're financially and legally responsible for. Is that also correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what county do you live in, Mr. Martin?
I live in Jefferson County.
All right. Miss Whittington, what county do you live in?
I live in Jefferson County.
Thank you, ma'am. So, Miss Whittington, when Miss Alexander was talking to you, you're okay if I give Mr. Martin full-blown weekend visits with the child, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You got to say something. You can't just nod your head. But I do appreciate your honesty. And I do understand that there could be some, you look, guys, y'all have been working together to raise this child. And my
Yes,
ruling, what I put on paper as far as what Mr. Martin's visitation is, it's just that. It's on paper. Miss Whittington, if you and Mr. Martin agree to continue to do what you've been doing, you can do that. I mean, you don't have to go by my ruling as far as his contact rights with the child. If what y'all have been doing works for y'all, keep doing that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The visitation is kind of fluid, right? I got to put something down on paper in case you guys aren't getting along. Then Mr. Martin has a specific contact right for the child. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Martin, you got any questions about this case before I make a ruling?
No, sir, I don't.
Miss Whittington, you got any questions about this case before I make a ruling?
No, sir.
The court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find based on the testimony of the parties. I mean, it's certainly in the child's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators, with Miss Whittington as the parent with the right to establish the primary residence of the child. Mr. Martin will have visitation at any and all times mutually agreed to by the parties. If no agreement, then at least the standard possession order. That both parties are a resident of Jefferson County. Therefore, there will be a domicile restriction in this case as per the local rule. Any request for non-disclosure is denied. There will be no retroactive child support in this case. I will order Ms. Whittington to maintain the current health insurance that she has on the dependent. Mr. Martin is going to be ordered to pay child support according to his testimony. I think that Mr. Martin's income is fluid. It fluctuates from week to week. I did a basic general average, Mr. Martin, based on what you told me was your income. I did give you credit for the 4 other dependents that you are financially and legally responsible for. And therefore, based on my calculations, Mr. Martin's child support is going to be $475 per month, plus an additional $50 a month in cash medical. Those payments will begin August the 1st of 2023. Court costs in this case will be paid by Mr. Martin, but I will give him until January 31st, 2024 to pay my court cost. Ms. Alexander, the state of Texas hear all the terms and conditions of my court order?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Y'all, what's going to happen now is Ms. Alexander's office is going to send me a proposed order. If it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and send it to each of you. Ms. Whittington, do you have any questions about my ruling today?
No, sir.
Mr. Martin, do you have any questions about my ruling today?
No, sir.
Hey, despite those small issues that y'all may have, you're both good parents, and I like good parents. That makes my job real easy when I got good parents in front of me, okay?
Just the parties, Your Honor.
All right, your case has been called. You can call your first witness.
Thank you. The state will call Miss Davis. Okay, and do you have any safety concerns with your personal information being in today's court order?
Yes.
Okay, who are you concerned with having this information?
Elton Grubbs.
Okay, and why are you concerned with him having this information?
Right now, we haven't spoke since December, but we've had a domestic dispute. So right now, I wouldn't want him having my information.
Okay, and when did that dispute occur?
In December.
Okay, and that was in 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and did you have to call the police for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, were there any charges pressed against Mr. Grubbs?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Does
I don't
Mr.
think
Grubbs?
they went through.
Okay. And does Mr. Grubbs currently know where you live?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. What is the name of the child we're here for today?
Ayana,
Okay, and how old is she?
she's 8 months today.
Okay, and do you and her reside together in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who is Ayana's father?
Elton Grubbs.
Okay, at this time, the state will move for the admission of the genetic test results for Ayana.
Ms. Davis, I've just placed on the screen a copy of the DNA test results for the child Ayana. Is it okay if I look at the results?
Yes, please.
Same question, Mr. Grubbs. Is it okay if I look at the DNA test results for the child Ayana?
Can you repeat that? I barely heard. I'm sorry.
Sure. Is it okay if I look at the DNA test results for the child Ayana?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit A is admitted into evidence. Based on the admission into evidence of State's Exhibit A, the court's going to find that DNA testing has been completed in regards to the mother, Shakita Davis, and the alleged father, Elton Grubbs II, were participants in the DNA testing. They've now been admitted, and I'm going to find that Mr. Elton Grubbs is the biological father and now the legal father of the child.
Were you and Mr. Grubbs ever in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever live together?
No, ma'am.
Okay, when did your relationship end?
It ended in December, but it's been an on and off relationship, off and on relationship since December. Since either October, or November of 2021. It's been on and off.
And when did you tell Mr. Grubbs that he could be Ayana's father?
When I found out I was pregnant, the last day of February of 2022.
Okay, and has he been providing financial support for her?
Since she's been born, no, ma'am.
Okay. Are you asking the court for any back child support today?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who does Ayana live with?
She lives with me
And how long has she lived with you?
since birth.
And who makes the important decisions for her?
I do.
And who makes the day-to-day decisions?
I do.
When did Mr. Grubbs last see her?
December 6th of 2022.
22. Okay. And what is his relationship like with her?
He doesn't have one with her.
Okay. Has Mr. Grubbs ever kept her alone overnight?
No.
And what safety concerns do you have with visitation? Mr.
Right now, I feel he shouldn't have visitation.
Okay.
Not
Well,
right now.
If the court were to make an order towards visitation today and potentially order some supervised visits, would you be able to supervise those visits?
Not at this time.
Do you know somebody that would be able to do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know a public place where visitation could occur?
I know a couple of public places, yes.
Okay. And what places would you have in mind?
Well, she's not really walking right now. So I would say something maybe like a park, but it's too hot. So maybe something on the inside, Chuck E. Cheese or something along those lines will be okay.
Okay. How is Ayana covered for health insurance?
Through through Texas, she has Medicaid.
Okay. I'll pass the witness at this time.
Call your next witness.
I will call Mr. Grubbs. Okay. And when did Miss Davis tell you that you could be her father?
It was pretty much like she stated in February of last year, 2022.
Okay. And have you ever provided any financial support for Ayana?
Yes, ma'am. Whenever we first found out, I did the best that I can to provide diapers, wipes, just the basics.
Could you put a dollar amount to the amount of support you've provided?
I would say between $500 to $1,000.
And who does Ayana live with?
She lives with her mom, Shakita.
Okay. And who makes the major life decisions for her?
She does.
And who makes the day-to-day decisions?
Shakita.
Okay. How often do you see Ayana?
She blocked me. I haven't had an opportunity to see Ayana.
Okay. When is the last time that you saw her?
I would say it was actually November of last year.
Okay. Do you reside in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Are you presently employed?
No, ma'am.
Okay. When is the last time that you worked?
June, I want to say June 18th, I believe.
Is that of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who were you working for at that time?
Zachary.
Okay. What kind of work do you do for Zachary?
Construction.
Okay. And how long did you work for Zachary?
3 or 4 months.
Okay. And what was your rate of pay with Zachary?
$37.50.
Okay. And were you working 40 hours a week at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you work overtime?
Rarely.
Okay. Are you working turnarounds?
That's gonna be my next job. Yes, ma'am. I pretty much do the same. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So do you have another job lined up?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. Do you know who that's going to be with?
I can't remember the name of that company, but as soon as I get the information, I can pass it on to you.
Okay. Do you know what they're going to pay you?
I believe it's 38.
Okay. Is $38 an hour typically what you make when you're working?
It's normally 36.
36. Okay. And what's the longest period of time you go without working?
The longest is probably like 2 or 3 months.
Okay. So you go 2 or 3 months and you'll do a turnaround and you'll be off for a couple months. Is that correct?
At the most, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any other biological children under the age of 18?
Yes, ma'am. I have 2.
Okay. Do those 2 children reside with you?
No, ma'am. I pay child support for them
You
as
pay
well.
Okay. I'll go ahead and pass the witness.
Call your next witness.
I don't have any further witnesses.
All right, so Miss Davis, I just want to make sure I got this right. So you do want me to grant the non-disclosure, which means your address would not be in the court order, correct?
Correct.
All right. And you also, so that means that Mr. Grubbs wouldn't be able to come to your house to pick up and exchange the child. So you'd have to be willing to meet him someplace else for the exchange of the child, correct?
Correct.
All right. Miss Davis, you're probably not going to like what I'm about to tell you, but Mr. Grubbs is the father of the child, and he's absolutely entitled under the law to visitation with this child, okay?
Yes, but I feel like right now he could be a danger, and that's why I said not right now for him to have visitation.
So the only evidence that I heard was that there was some type of incident in December, but that's no evidence. I understand, Davis, but that's no evidence.
I'm sorry.
December could be that you guys were wrestling on the floor and you got a hangnail. So I mean, that's not any evidence.
You're right, sir. I'm sorry. I was referring to the last time we spoke, but I actually do have evidence. I have a couple of evidence to prove why I feel the way that I feel that he should not have visitation at this moment. Right. I'm not saying he can't have it at all, but just not right now.
Okay. Well, he's going to get it right now.
Even though I have the proof of, yes, I actually have proof.
So do you have any proof that Mr. Grubbs has ever been a danger to the child?
Yes, I do.
Did you file any type of criminal action against him for that?
I did when I went, when we called in December.
Mm-hmm. When you called who?
When I called the police for the December incident. Then went in and spoke to a lady. I have it in my phone of the lady I spoke to, but I have actual video footage of why I say what I'm saying.
Okay, so the video footage that you have shows Mr. Grubbs somehow injuring or harming the child.
Me holding my child, and he got his fist balled up like he's about to hit me before the video cuts out.
Okay, but he didn't actually make physical contact with you. There was just an altercation.
At that point in time, no, but I also have footage evidence of him putting hands on me as well.
Okay.
While my keys
So-
are in the room while
Okay,
they're
so,
there.
but let me get this perfectly square with you, okay, Miss Davis? I'm not saying that there weren't incidents between you and Mr. Grubbs, and I need to do something to make sure that those incidences are kept to a minimum as best as I can from my side of it, okay?
All right.
But unless there's proof that Mr. Grubbs somehow injured the child, then I can't in any way, shape, or form restrict him in regards to actually having physical contact with his child. I can restrict his access to you, but I can't restrict his access to the child based on him having incidences with you, okay?
With my daughter. I'm not saying I don't care about the incidents that happened between me and him, because that's neither here nor there.
Mhm.
It's my daughter that I am concerned about
Right.
at this point in time.
Me too. But you just don't think that Mr. Grubbs should be able to see his child at all?
No, that's why I stated in the beginning of this process, not right now. I
Okay.
never say he could
So when
never
do you,
see. I said
so when
just
do you
right
think
now.
Mr. Grubbs should be allowed to see the child?
I would feel more comfortable if he took like anger management classes or something to just for that anger. Then I will feel more comfortable with her being around him. Like I said, it has nothing to do with me and him. It's just he has an anger thing, and if he can do it in front of my child while I'm holding my child,
Yeah.
it's like, what could he possibly do if I'm not there and he's with someone else, anybody, family members, anybody,
Right.
and he gets angry?
Okay.
That's my only concern. Like I said, what me and him had is not for this court, but it's just for my daughter, for her sake.
So if I was to give him some type of contact rights with the child, who would, I mean, obviously you can't supervise the visitation. Who would supervise him?
Nope, I don't have anybody at the moment just because of our history.
Okay.
But
No problem.
But like I said, if he took the classes, I wouldn't mind meeting somewhere public that I feel more comfortable.
Right.
That's the only thing that I'm asking for the court, is that he maybe get some type of class, and then once he finishes class, we can go ahead and do the visitation. I will feel comfortable. That's all I'm asking.
All right. Mr. Grubbs, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Mr. Grubbs, how many other children did you say you had?
I have two. Well, two that I pay child support for.
Okay. And how old are those two children?
14 and 11 right now.
All right. And do you see those children?
Yes, sir, I do.
On a fairly regular basis?
Yes, sir.
All right. You have a good relationship with the mother on those two children?
Yes, sir. Well, one of them, she went MIA. She's going through like a spiritual journey or whatever. She said she had to seclude herself from everyone. I have documents saying I had no, because our parents were looking for her. They did a missing person report.
Where's the child though, Mr. Grubbs?
He's with her as well.
Okay. All right. So you haven't had any contact with that child in a while because the mother's been missing in action?
Yes, sir, basically.
Okay.
Hold
on, Mr. Grubbs, hold on. Okay. Just answer my question. I don't need a whole lot of detail. I'm just trying to get basic.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So other than that child, you do have up to that point in time, though, you had a good relationship with both of those mothers and you were having good contact with those children?
Yes, sir. I normally get my kids every weekend.
Have you ever been arrested for any type of a domestic violence case?
No, sir.
Have you ever been charged with any type of child endangerment or child abuse?
No, sir.
Okay. How old is this child, Miss Davis?
Ayana is 8 months.
Thank you. In the last year, Mr. Grubbs, have you been arrested for any offenses?
One. But that was the one with Shakita.
And what was the charge? What did you get arrested for?
I think it was family violence, I believe.
But you haven't ever had to go back to court for that?
No, sir, not yet.
All right. Miss Davis, do you know whether or not that charge is even still pending?
I don't know. They haven't contacted me and no emails or anything, so I do not know.
All right. Mr. Grubbs, in regards to this family violence case that you got arrested for, it involved Miss Davis, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you had to pay a bond to get out of jail?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. Have you been in touch with your bondsman?
Daily, well, weekly. I check in every Monday.
All right. Do they say anything? Have you had any information from them about your next time you're supposed to be in court regarding that case?
I believe it's next month. I can't remember the exact date.
Okay, so that case is still pending as far as you know, Mr. Grubbs.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Well, you may get your wish, Miss Davis. If that case is actually still pending in Jefferson County, it will certainly be one part of Mr. Grubbs. If he's convicted or he takes a deal, anger management will certainly be part of that issue. It's automatic in those cases.
Yes.
Mr. Grubbs, obviously, if you have any contact right with this child, it's going to be supervised. Do you understand?
Yes, sir. I understand. I just want to be able to see my daughter.
Who's going to supervise the visitation for you?
Can I provide someone?
Well, you're going to have to. Miss Davis wasn't able to tell me anybody, so it's going to have to be you. You're going to have to tell me who's going to do it.
I can do it with my father.
All right. And how old is he?
I believe he's 68.
All right. Is he in good health?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know whether or not he has any criminal charges pending against him?
He doesn't.
Okay. I have to ask these questions, Mr. Grubbs, because I have to make sure this child's in a safe position.
Yes, sir. I understand, and I promise she will always be in a safe position.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Simone?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Miss Davis, can you unmute for me?
Yes, sir.
Miss Davis, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
No, I think everything has been said.
Okay. It's a tough spot, Miss Davis, and it's tough for you. It's tough for me. It's tough for Mr. Grubbs. Most of all, it's tough for the child. You know, I got to weigh so many different factors. One of the ones that's always weighs the hardest on me is the safety of the child, but making sure that there's at least an opportunity for both parents to get to know the child. But it's just it's a balancing act that's difficult for me most of the time. Okay.
All right.
All right. Mr. Grubbs, is there anything else you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
Yes. Well, it's kind of more of a request. Shakita Davis had threatened to move out of Texas plenty of times. I was wondering if we could restrict her.
It's automatic. It's automatic in Jefferson County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know the radius?
Jefferson County and all counties that touch Jefferson County.
Okay. Thank you.
That's just, now, it doesn't make any difference, Mr. Grubbs. If she's going to move out of county, she's required to send you notice by mail 30 days before she's going to move, and at least tell you which county she's going to move to, which would give you an opportunity to go to court and try to stop that from happening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I mean, that's just automatic in Texas, man.
Okay, I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am. What's that?
Next year I was planning on moving back home to North Carolina. How would I go about it when my lease is up next year?
So you will have to send notice to Mr. Grubbs of the date and the county where you intend to move to. Okay.
Okay.
And then Mr. Grubbs will have a right to hire an attorney and stop you from taking the child to North Carolina.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. If you don't send the notice, Miss Davis, to Mr. Grubbs that you intend to move, and you move without sending that notice, the judge in your court, in your case, not me, the judge above me, has the right to issue what's called a writ of mandamus, order the sheriff's department where you live to take the child and bring that child back to Texas.
Okay. So you say it has to be a written notice?
Right. You have to send him written notice of that.
So it can be like a text message written notice, or you want to actually?
No, you're going to have proof, either an email or in writing that you sent it, not just a text.
Okay, so I can send it to him through his email.
You could, as long as you got verified that email address is his address. And then he would have the right to file a lawsuit to try to stop you from doing that before you move.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
All right, that's all.
That's a tough one. I mean, the moving stuff is tough because it gets really complicated, and the judge that judge is going to have to do the same thing I just did, which is weigh Mr. Grubbs's rights to spend time with the child against Miss Davis's need to move. Okay.
All right.
All right. The court's going to find the court has jurisdiction. The court's going to find based on the testimony of the parties. I'm going to name Miss Davis as the sole managed conservator of the child. Mr. Grubbs will be named as the possessory conservator of the child. Non-disclosure in this case is granted. There will be no finding of family violence, Ms. Simone, since that case is still pending in front of a criminal court. So, but there will be a non-disclosure finding. I'm going to order Mr. Grubbs to have visitation of the child. His visitation will be a phased-in visitation schedule with 12 visits at each phase. That means there'll be 12 visits supervised from 1 to 5 on the first, third, and fifth Saturday of the month. Those supervisions would take place under the supervised eyes of the paternal grandfather. I don't need his name in the court order, Miss Simone. It'll just be paternal grandfather. Everybody should know who that is.
Can you repeat that? When does he get her? One more time for me, please.
On the first, third, and fifth Saturday of each month, Miss Davis, starting at 1 p.m. and ending at 5 p.m. And those visits, those 4-hour visits, will be supervised by the paternal grandfather.
All right.
Okay. And then after those 12 visits are done, then Mr. Grubbs will have visitation on the same dates at the same time, but those 4 hours will not be supervised. So he will be able to pick up the child from the location I'm about to describe and return the child back to you to the same location.
All right.
I'm also going to order, after those 12 4-hour visits are done, then Mr. Grubbs will have 12 one-day visits. Again, first, third, and fifth Saturday of each month, beginning at 8 a.m. and ending at 6 p.m. I believe that's what the phased-in visitation shows, Ms. Simone. It's either 8 to 6 or 9 to 5, whatever the numbers are is fine. Those will be 12 visits. When those 12 visits are done, then Mr. Grubbs will have visitation with 12 one-night overnight visits. Those will begin on Saturday at 6 and end at Sunday at 6. Again, on the first, third, and fifth Saturday of the month. All exchanges of the child will occur at the Beaumont Police Department in downtown Beaumont.
Okay.
Mr. Grubbs, you will not be allowed to pick up the child on those first 12 visits by yourself. If your father is not with you, then Ms. Davis will not be required to hand the child over to you for those visits. Do we understand each other?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Ms. Davis, I'm not going to order you to do anything other than make a suggestion that when you go to the Beaumont Police Department for the exchange of the child,
Yes.
do not go alone.
Of course.
Find a friend, find a sister, find a brother, find a parent, somebody to go with you so you can have, so there's 2 people in the car with you besides the child. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's just for everybody's protection. So it's not just your word against Mr. Grubbs. It's your word and your witness against Mr. Grubbs and his witness. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Makes it a lot easier for the judge in the future to make a decision. Ms. Davis will be ordered to maintain the health insurance that she has on the child. I'm going to order Mr. Grubbs to pay child support according to guidelines. Guidelines is $590 a month in child support plus $90 a month in medical support for cash medical. I'm going to grant a small amount of retroactive child support in this case. It'll be $2,060 a month. That'll be paid back at a rate of $20 a month. All payments beginning August 1st of 2023. All visitation will begin August 1st of 2023.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. We'll be out of town the first week of August, but we will be back.
You'll have to make changes to that.
It's already in place and the tickets are already bought.
For
So
what?
is there any way that
No, I'll make a
Mr.
change.
Grubbs,
Miss
I'm saying if Mr. Grubbs would
Simone,
agree?
Miss Davis,
Yes.
please stop talking. The first 2 visits will be the 2nd and 3rd Saturday of August, Miss Simone.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Miss Davis. I'll fix
Thank
it.
you.
Just give me a chance.
Hey.
All right.
Yes,
You got tickets bought. I know it happens. That's why we'll make a correction. It's going to start this for the first 2 visits will be the 2nd and 3rd of August.
Can we do the weekend before and then we just skip a week?
Nothing's going to start until August 1st.
All right.
Because your child support's not starting until August 1st, Mr. Grubbs, and the visitation doesn't start till August 1st. All right. So I am going to change the last name of the child. The last name of the child is going to be from this point forward.
Thank you.
Ms. Simone, court costs in this case be due $131.24.
Judge, I had a couple questions. You were talking a little faster than I could write. On the retro, what was the payback amount for that?
$20 a month
Okay. And it was $2,060, correct?
$2,065.
$2,065. Okay. And
Child support is 590.
Okay.
Medical support is 90.
Okay. And that was giving him credit for his other children as well?
It was.
Okay.
So when he starts working, could I
Hold
come
on,
to
Miss
the?
Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't wait for him to start working. I said child support based on what he told me. He works construction, so that's based on his wages that he makes for construction.
No, I understand that, but I was saying when he starts back working, would I be able to put in for whatever he's making at that time for child support?
That's a wonderful thing about construction work, Miss Davis, is men and women that work construction in Southeast Texas are not working all the time. They'll work 9 months and they'll be off a month. They'll work 8 months, they'll be off 2. So I have a very complicated formula that I use for how I determine what the child support base is based on what the local rules are. You always have the right, Miss Davis, if you think you're entitled to an increase in child support, to file whatever lawsuit you wish to have to increase it. The AG's office can file their own motion as well if they think the child support ought to go up. But you will have a difficult time getting the child support adjusted within the first 12 months after I sign the order.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Does that handle all the issues in this case, Miss Simone?
Yes, Your Honor, it does.
All right. Miss Davis, Mr. Grubbs, what's going to happen now is the state's going to send me an order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and I'm going to get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy and send it to each of you. Now, you don't have to be satisfied with the ruling that I've made today. If either party is dissatisfied with my ruling, you have 3 business days with which to file a notice of appeal with the district clerk's office in Jefferson County. Your appeal has to be in writing and it has to be specific. You got to tell the referring court what part of my ruling you disagree with. You're also responsible for sending a copy of that written appeal to all the other non-appealing parties. All right, Mr. Grubbs, Miss Davis, they're going to send you.